Welcome. It is my job to welcome everybody and kick off the evening tonight. So welcome to parents, to teachers. We have a good number of teachers here, school administrators, trustees, and one student, the first ever student, Sonali Burns, to attend. Yeah. It's great to look out and see so many faces, so many really good friends. Your gathering here, for me, is really tangible confirmation of the commitment and the affection, and I think that's an important word, the affection that so many have for our school. This evening has become a wonderful evening for the school. Not only do you learn some really important facts about the institution, about the community, the information is always good, but the social time that we just went through allows us to connect with people that often we would not connect with on a regular basis. And that's really valuable and important. We are a big community, and community is important to us, and so we have to work on being a community. So you all have a great lineup tonight. I'm excited for the program, and for those of you that have been coming for years, it's going to be a little bit different. You're going to hear about many of the exciting opportunities that reside in the future of our school. You're going to hear about the strong financial position of the school. You're going to hear details about our search for the next head of school, and those are details that will inspire confidence in you. You'll be treated to remarks, and this is a real treat from both a student and a teacher. And I know that you're going to walk away feeling positive and enthusiastic about the future of this really superb school. So I'm going to take about 2 minutes to make a connected but tangential point. And I'll start with a quick story. And I have to do that. Tom Conheeney and I have this interesting back and forth. And I know that if I stand up here for any length of time and don't tell a story, I'm going to hear about it all year long. So I have to tell a story. And this story is short, and it makes the point I want to make. It starts with a concept. It's based on a concept. As educators, as teachers, we need to be comfortable with the fact that the fruits of our labor are often hidden from our view. Our impact is not immediately visible. It can be years, in fact, before evidence of the work that we have done becomes clear and plain and sort of holds up in the light of day. It's not always the case. There are clearly moments of immediate reward when teaching and working with kids, but we really have to live with the confidence that the evidence of many of our efforts will emerge down the road. So parents who know their kids before King and long after King often have better access to this growth and these moments. So that's the concept. The example, this spring, my son, going into his senior year of college, needed a summer job. So with some advice from his parents, he conducted a search, more or less on his own, went on some interviews, found a job, a 12-week paid internship at a healthcare company in Belfast, Maine. Good, he managed that, great, kind of on his own. Then he needed a place to live. Again, a few words of advice, but really, he researched some places. Then he got in the car, he went to Belfast, did a full-day tour of all the possibilities, came home, made a decision, signed a lease with a certified check he figured out how to produce, and was all set. Then he headed off for 12 weeks, lived on his own, fed himself, clothed himself, I think he washed his clothes, had a real job, learned a ton, and came home. Done, nonchalant. So my first response to all of this was shock. This is my kid. Getting him to clean his room or his car is a battle. But the second response is the response that counts, and it's the point of the story. I felt a deep sense of gratitude, and a lot of that gratitude was aimed at this school and our teachers in particular. Ryan grew up at King and at home. King and King teachers are such a part of what he is and why he is so adult and self-reliant and capable. And not all of his teachers had access to the results of their work, but it was there for me, it was clear. And so while we go through the evening and you hear about so many wonderful opportunities that the school has, hear from compelling speakers, I would ask you to keep a sense of what I would call balanced gratitude in the mix. Gratitude that your kids are here today, and the school is helping each one of them become something special now. And when your kids give you those moments where you have access to how much they've grown tomorrow or in 5 years, appreciate what you have done for them, because that's a tremendous amount, but also appreciate what this very special school has done for them in those moments. So moving on now, this is a transitional moment. I want to stress that we are extremely fortunate to have a deeply committed, hardworking, and extremely generous Board of Trustees. They give of their time, their talent, and their treasure, in addition to spending countless, and I'm really talking about countless hours to help our school. The 25 members of the board last year accounted for just 5% of our families, but also accounted for 23% of the contributions to the annual fund. This translates to $500,000 to the annual fund each year. In addition, this board has committed $2,370,000 to the endowment in just the past 2 years. Pretty incredible, if you ask me. I find that both inspiring and motivational, and I hope you find it a little inspiring and motivational. It's important stuff. Trustees are so central to the success of the school and have been for years. So it's my pleasure now to welcome Tom Conheeney, a good friend and someone I would count as a colleague, and our board president, to the podium. Tom is currently in the 12th year of what we just talk about here at school as a lifetime term on the board. So you can come back anytime and hear him talk. He's going to be here for a long time. So please welcome Tom Conheeney. Good man, go get him.
Thank you, Tom, and welcome to everyone, parents, alumni, faculty, and staff. Thank you all for being here tonight to celebrate the strength of King, our faculty, our academic programs, our community. Together, we define the things that make this school so special, our culture and our values. We're going to change things up, as Tom said tonight, change it up a little bit, the program this year. Tonight, I will briefly review our strong financial position for the 17-18 year. I will give you some updates on leadership and strategic planning, and I'll share the stage with Ed Cesar and Lynn King. They're going to tell you, and I'm sure you're all very interested to hear, they're going to bring you up to speed on the new head search. Then you're going to hear from one of our esteemed and respected history teachers, and then a real treat, and as Tom said, the first time we've had a student here, you're going to hear from the president of our upper school student body. We hope this will all give you a real sense of the strengths of King by sharing stories of the faculty and the students. King is in a very strong financial position. Our enrollment goal for this school year was 675 students. Well, we've exceeded that goal. We've enrolled 681 students at King this year. And that's really just kudos to our admissions team, who have done a fantastic job building our student body. We currently have 364 students in the upper school, 184 in the middle school, and 133 in the lower school. We are entering this year with a balanced budget, which will allow us to continue to offer excellent programs and to progress against our strategic goals. Our total 17-18 operating budget is $26.4 million, with expenses focused primarily on faculty, staff, and academic programming. The majority of our revenue comes from net tuition and fees, and the remaining revenue comes from two important non-tuition sources: endowment and the annual fund. Rather, as in past years, rather than go through the revenue expense items line by line, I encourage you to review last year's final numbers as outlined in your program that was distributed this evening. And definitely reach out to a board member or Kim Leaker, our associate head of school and CFO, if you'd like more detail on the financials or have any other questions. I would, however, like to take a moment to focus on the last two pieces: our endowment, as Tom referenced just a moment ago, and of course the annual fund. Our endowment is growing steadily, and I'm happy to report it is now close to $30 million. And you can see from this slide, we've really made tremendous progress since 2010, and I think $30 million is really representative of the community coming together and a lot of people being generous and an awful lot of hard work by many on the team. So I want to thank all the donors that are in this room for their generosity, and I especially would like to thank the investment committee, who carefully stewards our investment in the endowment, and really overall works very hard, and we can be very happy with the team we have in place there. But we have a long way to go, and our ambitions, our plans, and our ambitious plans for the future. And as you can see, while we have had some really steady growth since 2010, and we can be very proud of where we are, unfortunately, against our peer schools, we still are in a very unenviable position there at the end. So we still have a lot of work to do. The endowment's going to remain a major focus of the board, and hopefully this community will continue to focus on it as we have over the last 6 or 7 years. As I've said before, our tuition dollars alone do not cover our expenses, and the annual fund is a necessary and critical piece in closing this gap each year. I'm very pleased to let you know that this community gave almost $2.2 million to the annual fund last year. And even more importantly, 97% of our parents participated in this effort. To me, that shows the commitment of this community to provide the best possible experience for our students. And we are honored to acknowledge all of you personally in the program this evening. So thank you. Now, I talk to a lot of people in the community in my development role as a trustee, and I've heard some sort of crazy misconceptions about the purpose of the annual fund and how we use it. So I thought I'd take a few moments tonight to clear up some of those misconceptions and tell you a little bit more about the annual fund, and specifically the examples of the dollars and how they are at work helping the King community. So I'm talking here about the really important things that support learning at King. One of the most important investments is the one we make in our faculty. With your dollars, we have been able to recruit new faculty, provide a robust orientation and mentorship program, and invest in the professional growth and development of our current faculty. We encourage and support our faculty to be thought leaders in both the art of teaching and their field of study. Through conferences and innovative summer sabbaticals, we advance our teaching and learning. Later this evening, you will hear an example of this investment in action from history teacher Patrick O'Neill. Academic programs are another important investment, and the annual fund provides so many incredible opportunities for our lower, middle, and upper school students, like travel and field trips for special hands-on experiences that enhance their learning. I'll offer a few examples. Last year, our students participated for the second year in a row in a Global Leaders Summit, traveling to Italy and Croatia to study sustainable food production. Students joined national science and math competitions, even making it to the finals in the U.S. Economics Challenge. Students and teachers together went to publication workshops to learn software for producing books and magazines, which included our yearbook. And then, of course, there are the leading teaching tools and equipment that is necessary at King. For example, in our science labs, there are robotics kits, welding machines, rotational motion devices, wave and vibration generators, tools for superior learning. And thanks to all of you and to the annual fund for that. And for those deserving students who would not have the benefit of a King education without support, annual fund dollars helped us award additional financial aid. Overall, 14% of our student community received some financial aid this past year. And I really like to stop there for a moment, because if you take the opportunity to look at some of our peer schools, we really do, and we can be very proud as a community, we pitch well above our weight when it comes to financial aid. We are really doing a terrific job making King accessible to people that would require that support. And I just want to thank everybody in the room that participates in that effort, because it's so important to the culture here at King. And back to sort of tools and program, we continue to expand technology across our divisions, technology being critically important nowadays in education. Annual fund dollars helped us update our network infrastructure and school-wide Wi-Fi system, purchase laptops and other technology for all divisions, and provide new smartboard projectors where needed across campus. So again, thanks to all of you for making these very important investments possible. I'm sure you now see the annual fund is crucial. This year's annual fund goal is $2.3 million, and I know together we will reach it. Please continue to give your gifts and challenge yourself to increase these gifts in this pivotal year ahead. And as you can see, we've made, again, not unlike the endowment, some pretty steady growth since 2010. We've sort of found a little bit of a plateau, perhaps maybe a little bit of a natural level around this 2.2, 2.3 level. So if we're going to take it to the next level now and provide even more opportunities for our students, we're going to have to look inside and see if there's more we can do on the annual fund. And Lauren Fredette and our development team will be working very hard to see if we can hit this goal of $2.3 million this year. So let's get there. Another program that we can be very proud of, and I'd like to celebrate tonight, is our college counseling program. The college process has been a priority focus for the board, and the administration has answered the call. Our 4-year developmental program helps us identify the most competitive college match for each student. From the time they are in freshman year, our students get excellent guidance on their course and activity selection, standardized testing, and how to develop a college list best suited to their needs and their talents. And by the way, shout out to the class of 2017. What a college matriculation list we had last year. It is truly a list we can be really proud of. Let me share a few stats from the class with you. 98% of the students were accepted to Phi Beta Kappa colleges and universities. And this is really important, nearly 40% of the students were admitted via early decision to their top choice college or university. That's really just a fabulous stat. The class of 2017 was offered $4.5 million in merit scholarships from the schools that accepted them, and 7 student athletes were actively recruited to participate in college athletics. So really, really a terrific job. Being a father of a daughter in the current senior class, I'm hoping this year does just as well. The strength of King is also reflected in the leadership of our school. For the past 16 years, Tom Main has helped to transform King. You didn't know we were doing this. It's really one of my favorite pictures from the book we put together on the 150th, the sesquicentennial, and so we've been sort of busting Tom on that for a while, so I enjoyed that one. But seriously, thanks to Tom's, thanks to Tom's leadership, King has really been transformed. And I'm up here to say how grateful I am that, Tom, you've been here for 16 years. You gave your heart and soul to King in more ways than I think even people in this room realize. You will be deeply missed. And I know I speak for everyone. I know I speak for everyone when I say we wish you the very best in your last year here, and then as you begin the next chapter next summer at Ridgefield Academy. And as I've already kidded with you, I know you're going to send us the very best and brightest from Ridgefield Academy. So while this is a transition year, we are well prepared as we look ahead to the selection of the next head of school. Trust me, the board has worked very hard to make sure all our bases are covered. We are very fortunate to have Kim Leaker, Associate Head of School for Finance and Operations, and Marty Sedlowski, our recently appointed interim head of school for curriculum, taking on additional responsibility for the day-to-day operations of the school. Kim now oversees admission, development, marketing, in addition to her finance and operation responsibilities. And Marty continues to lead the upper school while also overseeing our comprehensive pre-K to grade 12 academic programs, the overall curriculum at the school. Such an important initiative to make sure that that's consistent across all the grades. So good luck, Marnie, good luck, Kim, and thank you both for stepping up. I've talked the last few years about our commitment to strategic planning and goal setting. We are in the last year of a 5-year strategic plan, and the process has allowed us to zero in on what we're looking for in our next head of school. Our strategic planning committee, working closely with our search committee and our search consultant, developed a solid position statement, one I hope you've all taken the opportunity to read. It's on our website. If you haven't, you can find it in the parent portal under Head of School Search. It's really important you take a read here. This position statement clearly defines our vision for King's future. The board and our strategic planning committee have identified priorities that are well underway already. For example, our focus on the lower school. Lower school education is part of a national conversation right now, and many schools are working hard to perfect the recipe. We were recently notified that Pear Tree Point, our neighbor school in Darien, made the decision to close at the end of the school year. And it's never a good thing when any independent school makes a decision to close. King is taking the opposite approach. We want to make our lower school the best in class. We have engaged the services of a strategic consultant to advise us, and you can be sure that our lower school will be a top priority for the incoming head of school. The board and our strategic planning committee are ready to focus on the next strategic plan, which will begin later this fall as soon as our new head is chosen. You will be kept informed of the progress, and once it is complete, the strategic plan, we will make sure it's available online. Please know that if you have any questions specifically, be happy to ask anybody on the board. Any trustee will be happy to talk to you about the strategic planning process. Of course, keep those questions at the 30,000-foot level because that's where, as trustees, we reside. I know you all want to hear more about where we are in the search for our new head. So with that, let me invite the co-chairs of the search committee, former board president, parent of alumni, and alumnus himself, Ed Cesar, and parent trustee Lynn King to come up and give us an update. Ed, Lynn?
Thank you, Tom. Good evening, fellow parents. I think I can still say fellow parents. Our son, Nick, is class of 2012, and I'm happy to report that this week he is traveling on business. Yay, outcomes. Firstly, you should know that both Lynn and I feel the weight of the responsibility of this job, but we're enjoying it. It's a fascinating process. We love the school, and we have a great search committee team. Trustees Rob Holtz, Linda Patrone, Sue Mirza, and Misun Freeman, Board President Tom Conhini, Interim Associate Head of School Marnie Sadlowski, and faculty members of the committee, Patrick O'Neill, Rob Waller, and Helen Santoro. Thank you guys for all the hard work this summer. The process actually started in April. We worked with the executive committee to secure a search consultant, spoke with 6, interviewed 4, and ultimately we chose RG 175 and lead consultants Tom Olverson and Clay Stites. We're very pleased with Tom and Clay and extremely pleased with the candidates that they've sourced for us. We've employed something of a novel process. In May and June, RG 175 developed a pool of 50 or so candidates with the potential to be our next leader. They shared the resumes of the highs and lows of this large group so we could gauge the trajectory of the search. The 9 most promising of those came to campus for a preliminary interview. During these visits, we had the opportunity to get a first look at each candidate and got the opportunity to sell the school. This is important because these candidates are in competitive searches and it's currently very much a heads market. Well, selling King is not a hard thing to do. Although school was not in session, each candidate was visibly impressed with all that we have built here together physically, and they were even more impressed with the learning and achievement produced by our faculty and students together. It simply oozes out of the walls. Of these 9, 6 were invited back for semifinalist weekend. These semifinalists interviewed in a round-robin fashion with 3 search committee groups focused on teaching and learning, community and diversity, and governance, business, and external affairs. At the end of the weekend, the search committee deliberated thoughtfully and collegially. These deliberations took some time, but I think I can speak for all in saying that a consensus emerged pretty easily around the 3 finalists who will be visiting in the coming 2 weeks. And I'll turn it over to my co-chair, Lynn King, to tell you a little bit about them.
Thanks, Ed. It's been a pleasure working with you in the committee. As you can tell from Ed's comments, there was a tremendous amount of interest in King from potential candidates over the summer, and we are pleased and excited to announce 3 strong finalists. First, Dr. Karen Eshu. She is the sitting head of Vistamar School, a private high school located just outside LA. She has 6 years of headship experience and an additional 15 years of experience in teaching and education, including serving as principal for a grade 1 to 8 private school in California. She has 2 master's degrees from Stanford in education and history and a doctorate in education from Berkeley. Karen is originally from the Bay Area, is an avid Giants and Warriors fan, and has dabbled a bit in stand-up comedy. Next, Dr. Ralph Maurer. Ralph, who's American, is the sitting head of the Nido International School, a large pre-K to 12 school in Santiago, Chile. Complementing his career in secondary education, he's been a college professor, a business school administrator, the founding partner in a consulting firm, and a venture capitalist. Ralph's academic training is in organizational theory and economic sociology, and he has a PhD in management science and engineering from Stanford. His wife, Meg, is a classical archaeologist, and his family is eager to return to the US. And finally, Gary Niels. He's been the long-standing head of Winchester Thurston, a pre-K to 12 independent school in Pittsburgh. Gary has transformed Winchester to a premier school in the area, which enjoys national recognition. He was raised in the Bronx and wants to get back to this area after being in Pittsburgh for 15 years. He was a national champion D1 lacrosse player in college. He has a master's in education from Columbia University and a master's of theological studies from Regent College. These are 3 exceptional candidates that you all will have a chance to meet in the coming weeks. Back to you, Ed.
So, finalists will each spend 2 days on campus. They will meet with nearly 80 members of our community in small settings, from one-on-ones to small groups. These will include the PA and alumni boards and lunch with faculty. In addition, there will be an all-faculty forum and a meeting with all staff. As we announced and scheduled in our message to the community on September 6th, there will also be a parent forum where you can meet the candidate and ask questions. And we very much hope that you'll attend. These will be held on this coming Monday, September 18th, Monday, September 25th, and Thursday, September 28th. They'll be from 5:45 to 7 p.m. right here in this theater. Those of you who do attend a forum or meet the candidate in a smaller group will be able to provide feedback to the search committee via an online survey. Watch your email for a link to the survey. This email will arrive in your mailbox right after each forum. We'll be sending out a reminder for the forums along with bios on all 3 candidates tomorrow. As we have in each of our communiques to the community, we also urge you to reach out to us as chairs by email with any thoughts or concerns you may have. Thanks for coming tonight, and go Vikings.
Thanks, Ed and Lynn, for taking on the search committee. It was really a huge responsibility, and it didn't take much to get either of them to take on the responsibility when we first talked to them about taking it on, and they've really done such a great job and worked so hard over the summer, and the rest of the search committee as well. It was really a tremendous effort over this summer, a lot of weekends, a lot of time spent, and I think you'd be very proud of how hard this group worked on behalf of King to help us make the right choice. And, as a board, there's really, there's obviously lots of responsibilities for the board, but I can't imagine a more important responsibility for our current board than, choosing the next head of school. Obviously, a decision that will impact the school for 5, 10, perhaps, more years. So we're taking this extremely seriously. The search committee has taken it very seriously, and I do eagerly ask you, if you'd like to participate and be part of this process, to come to the meetings that Ed and Lynn just said, and meet the candidates and let us know what you think. Though we are in the midst of change, and change is of course exciting, I want to emphasize again what we celebrate about King. What is the essence of King? Our mission, our personalized approach to teaching and learning, our virtues, our culture, our commitment to providing outstanding faculty to our students, and our commitment to teach students how to learn, not just what to learn, as we prepare them to become lifelong learners. All that remains the same. I want to focus for a minute on our outstanding faculty. At King, we support our faculty's initiative to grow in their field of study and to have an experience that informs their teaching. Tonight, we have an example of that. Let me call Patrick O'Neill to the stage. Patrick is history teacher here, as well as the grade 9 dean. He was on sabbatical this summer to study the role of art in politics, and I've asked him to share with us how King's investment in him will benefit the students in his classroom. Patrick?
Thanks.
Go get him.
Good evening. Before I provide you with an overview of my sabbatical, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Tom Main, Alex Weiner, the PG&D committee, and the McDermott family for giving me the opportunity to travel to Northern Ireland. The trip was marvelous, and as I'll discuss, the material I gathered on the trip will become a central part of my new elective on Modern Ireland running this fall. In my short talk today, I want to invite you to step into my classroom. Imagine that you're a student experiencing my Modern Ireland class, and I'm sharing with you the learning and excitement that I gathered from my summer sabbatical. But before I delve into a sample of the murals I encountered on my trip, it's important to place the murals in some historical context, and so bear with me for a moment. After the Irish War of Independence in 1921, Ireland was partitioned, creating the Free State of Ireland, as you see there, known as the Republic, and Northern Ireland, a province that continues to remain inside the UK. Under English rule, Northern Ireland became a state dominated by Protestants who actively discriminated against the Irish Catholic minority. For years, many Catholics were unable to find suitable employment or housing. In the late 1960s, Irish Republicans, a militant group largely dominated by Irish Catholics, formed a highly disciplined paramilitary organization called the Provisional Irish Republican Army and waged open war against British security forces, soldiers, and military installations in order to emancipate Northern Ireland from English rule. Frightened by the scale of violence and terror, local loyalist groups, largely made up of Protestants who sought to maintain England's political influence in the region, also formed paramilitaries to defend their communities against the onslaught of the IRA. During the course of the conflict, Belfast and Derry, two major cities in the north, became battlegrounds where Republicans and Unionists, or Loyalists, fought to assert control over their respective neighborhoods. As the conflict raged, both communities designed murals along the sides of homes and businesses that served to mark the boundaries of control. This is the mural here. Progressively, these murals became historical markers intended to proclaim, honor, and preserve local understandings of the conflict. Heroes, martyrs, and key flashpoints in the conflict were mythologized in order to reinforce communal support. Although the conflict ended in 1998 with the signing of the Good Friday Agreement, both sides continue to use murals as storyboards to reflect on the past and critique the present political situation inside of Northern Ireland. For Republicans, the war is still going on. This is not over. And they believe that this is an enduring struggle. And I refer to it that way because it really is for them an enduring struggle. I had the opportunity to speak to several members of the Republican Party inside of Northern Ireland during my experience, otherwise known as Sinn Féin. And they are very much of the mind that this war is not over, they're just going to fight it by different means. And so they're using the political process in order to make that happen. And so as a result of this enduring struggle, what we seem to find inside the murals that Irish Republicans start to create after the Good Friday Agreement, we find that they begin to connect their struggle to other struggles that they perceive to be struggles of other ethno-cultural groups that seek self-determination, that seek an opportunity to remove themselves from what they believe to be a colonial power, or perceived to be a colonial power. Here we see inside this mural, inside of West Belfast, which is a Republican stronghold in the city, a mural that depicts a solidarity movement between the Irish Republicans, as we see on the left-hand side with the tricolor, and on the right-hand side, the Palestinian movement. Irish Republicans believe that this particular movement is a movement that seeks self-determination, and so they have lots of murals like this inside of West Belfast. But I wanted to show you this mural in particular because it is particularly powerful for reinforcing solidarity within the Republican movement. Both flags symbolize the solidarity, but in the center we see the prison bars. Irish Republicans during the conflict used the prisons as a potential battleground to fight against the British state. Most notably, they did this through hunger strikes. You may remember in the past, in 1981, that 10 IRA members actually sacrificed their lives in order to protest against the British state. They believed, Irish Republicans that is, that Palestinians who also serve under what they believe to be a colonial state are political prisoners. And so they reflect on this concept inside this particular mural. I want to draw your attention to the bottom right over here. You see a man named Bilal Qayed. He is an individual that's actually from recent memory. He was sentenced in 2001 for being an individual that was a part of a radical Palestinian group and was sentenced to 14 years in prison. After his term was up in 2015, the Israeli state placed him back in prison for administrative detention purposes. And as a result, he protested this by going on hunger strike, and he was subsequently released. So obviously the Republicans had this viewpoint that the hunger strikes of 1981 mirrors this event here, and so they look for this movement and reinforce solidarity with international movements that seek this self-determination. This is another feature, another mural that reflects a similar theme inside of West Belfast. This deals with a different ethno-cultural group. You can see on the right-hand side a small outlined map behind this tree. I'm sorry I couldn't move it. But that tree is blocking a small map of an area that's known as the Tamil State. The Tamil State no longer exists. It was inside of current-day Sri Lanka. It fell in 2009. But Republicans continue to believe that this particular movement will achieve independence, that they will release themselves from what they perceive to be a colonial state. And so at the very top of this mural, we see the words inevitable, that this is an inevitability, that this will happen, that this is going to happen. And obviously Republicans allow that to resonate with them because they believe the same thing is true of themselves. They believe the same thing is true of their particular movement inside of the UK at this point in time. At the bottom, you see this inscription inside of Gaelic that means our day will come. So this solidarity with this Tamil movement is very similar in some ways to the Palestinian movement, reflecting an international solidarity with what they perceive to be anti-colonial movements. On the Loyalist side, we have other types of murals, and this is from the area known as East Belfast, which is a Loyalist stronghold in that particular region. And these are the people that wanted to remain part of this particular Crown forces. And so what we see here is a very different style of mural, very, very different style. And this mural reflects a lot of the anger and the hostility that exists inside of Loyalist communities today. What we see here on the left-hand side are two particular masked gunmen. These masked gunmen hark back to the time period of the Troubles and the conflict. They wear the balaclavas, they have the machine guns, and they're particularly from a paramilitary organization known as the UVF, which are Loyalists. On the right-hand side, what we see are the words, "We seek nothing but the elementary right implanted in every man, the right if you are attacked to defend yourself." Loyalist communities at this point in time are suffering from bouts of gang violence, drug activity, high unemployment. And as a result, there is a real feeling inside of Loyalist communities that they have lost the war, that while the Northern Irish state continues to exist inside of the UK, we still have in the Loyalist communities feeling that the Republicans have actually won, that the real victors have been the Irish Republican Army rather than themselves. And so this mural almost suggests that they need to defend themselves. They need to actively recruit. They need to be on guard for the principles and the heritage that they fought to defend at this point in time. I don't mean to suggest that the Loyalists are actively saying, let's join paramilitaries again and fight. There may be some that believe that. But the overall feeling in the community is one, they feel that they're under siege, and they feel that they're being attacked, and they need to defend themselves. So it's a very different style mural. What does all this mean for my students? I've given you three particular examples of hundreds of murals I saw inside of Northern Ireland during this time. I visited three major cities, Carrickfergus, Belfast, and Derry. And in each of these cities, I saw many, many, many different types of murals. And so what I want to do for students is to actively use these murals as primary documents. These murals show the feelings, the aspirations, the desires of people inside of these communities. And so they are very important documents for us to look at in order to assess change. How do these communities change their opinions over time? How do they feel now versus when they felt in 1981 or even 1979? Can we actively see that through these murals? I think we can. And so I'm going to be using them largely as primary documents. In addition to that particular purpose, students are going to simulate the construction of their own particular mural. When communities inside of places like Derry and Belfast and Carrickfergus create murals, they need to make some conscious decisions as to what types of things they want inside those murals. And they need to gather as a community to construct those ideas. This is particularly true inside of Irish Republican neighborhoods. There's an active collaboration. There's an active discussion. And I want my students to simulate the same exact thing. They're going to be developing an actual mural that's a triptych, or in 3 pieces, for the 3 major units that I have in this Modern Ireland course. And what the students are going to do in 3 successive order pieces is begin to have those conversations. The question I've asked them is, what is the Irish story? If you wanted to tell the story of Ireland and the struggle that exists inside of Ireland, what would you do it with? Would you do it with words? Would you do it with people? Would you do it with symbols? How would you go about reflecting on those particular events? And I want them to have those conversations, and they're going to simulate those conversations consistently inside of my class as they construct this particular mural. This reinforces collaboration. It reinforces problem solving. It reinforces things that we want our students to consistently do every day inside of class, and I hope they achieve the same thing. At the end of this particular process, we have the privilege and the opportunity to actually hang this mural inside of the Ireland's Great Hunger Museum, which is located in Hamden, Connecticut. Now, that particular museum is largely devoted to the potato famine, and so when you go there, what you're going to see is a lot of art from different artists of different periods that are interested in this particular type of concept, but they've generously given us a space for us to put our mural in at the end of this particular project. So this is really an authentic assessment. Students are really motivated by this. They're really interested in doing this well and learning the Irish story well because they're interested in the topic, but they're also going to have something on display that represents their conversations, that represents their views, that represents their understanding of this particular Irish story. And so it's a very powerful project that I'm looking forward to developing. It's my first year doing it. I'm very excited about the process. I'm not an artist myself, so I'm not going to be helping them out with the actual logistics of this. I have the art department enlisted in helping us. Connie Nichols has been very, very helpful in this process. She's actually coming in next week to speak to our students about the process of developing this mural and what goes on from an art standpoint, and I'll help out more with the content standpoint. So we're really taking these 2 departments and working together to make this happen for our students. At first, I definitely have to say that some of our students were a little bit nervous about the art side, and that's okay. I teach the students that it's okay to feel uncomfortable. Get comfortable with feeling uncomfortable, and I'll give you the resources necessary to get you there. So that's what we're going to do with this particular project, and I'm very excited about it. I started my talk by thanking several people inside of this room at this moment for the opportunity to travel to Northern Ireland, but I also wanted to thank you, the parents. Your generous contributions to the annual fund really make opportunities like Northern Ireland a real possibility. It makes it possible for me to go to places like Northern Ireland and see these kinds of murals and bring this stuff back in the classroom, which I know that our students will benefit from. So from the faculty's perspective, we thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Great job. Awesome job. Fabulous. Boy, I'm glad I went first. That's a tough act to follow. Well, I think you could see firsthand not only the passion of Patrick and a passion that I know that so many of our teachers here at King feel about our students and what they're trying to create in our classroom, but just what the investment in our faculty and why we take that so seriously, and why you just really can't spend enough dollars on PG&D. Allowing teachers to have experiences like this, and then taking those experiences and giving those to our children. Boy, I can't think of a better way to spend our dollars and our annual fund dollars. So Patrick, wonderful to see your passion up there. Marnie, if I pay a little extra tuition, can I sit in on that class? So now you move over and I'll go. Well, thank you again, Patrick. Let's see here. Now, one additional point I'd like to make, I think it's important. Patrick is one of 47 different sabbaticals that have been awarded since 2006. King awards 4 sabbaticals each year, and sends about 75% of our faculty to professional development workshops and conferences each year. So again, a real serious commitment here at King. So in closing, I want to focus on the most important component of King, our students, and to share with you a tradition. Sonali Burns, the president of our upper school student body, spoke recently at our opening school ceremony, and I invited her to share her inspirational words with you tonight. She reminds us that we are all here to invest in our students and our future. She will lead us in officially ringing in the school year. And as you know, one of the long-standing traditions we have here at King is the ringing of the bells. All students ring them together at the opening ceremony, and we ring the seniors off the stage at commencement. So let's ring them together tonight to celebrate the strengths of King. And from a personal perspective, any of you that have had the wonderful privilege to hear Sonali sing the national anthem at any of our events, I get to I get to hear it at all the volleyball games, and I've always wanted to share the stage with Sonali, so here's my opportunity. Her dad, Craig, says we can do a twosome tonight and sing it, but I think I'm going to just leave it to Sonali. So.
Hi, everybody. Hi. My name is Sonali Burns. I am the student body president of the upper school. And the speech I'm about to give you is a speech I delivered last week at our annual bell ring ceremony. It's one of the few times that the entire school, from pre-K to seniors, gathers in one place together. And it's an occasion to think about why we're here and what we stand for as a community. It encourages us to be the best we can be, and kind of sets the tone and expectations for us as students, a part of King. The amazing thing about school is that it not only teaches us history or math, but it teaches us about ourselves, about our passions, about our views on the world, about how we can change our world and our environments as young people with creative minds and full hearts, hearts full of hope and pride. But sometimes school is hard, and we get down on ourselves, and that spark starts to dwindle. As tough situations come in our path, we start to lose a little bit of that excitement. And we not only get down on ourselves, we look defiantly at our environment. We start to stop believing. Some say that your body is your temple. If you feed your body nutritious and healthy foods, your body stays strong and healthy. So why would that be any different for our community? If you give your community good vibes and positive affirmations, there is no stopping you. Your community becomes healthy and strong. You become happier. Your faith in the process starts to rise again. This is the process of seeing the bright side of every situation. The theme I challenge you all to live by this year is positivity. Positivity is the practice of being, or a tendency to be, optimistic in attitude. Optimism can change your whole outlook on life and those tough situations that come in your path. As I said to the upper school on the first day of classes, positivity is infectious. It's like the best possible uncurable virus that you can possibly catch. Just sharing a smile and giving a compliment to someone can make their whole day, especially if you're new. If you don't have any friends. If you get a smile from somebody, you're like, I got this. And, they pass on that smile to whoever they encounter next. I challenge you all to be positive and embrace the things we offer here at King. Get involved in student activities and genuinely spreading joy among your community. Having a strong base of people who believe in your environment makes you proud to be a part of it. It gets you motivated to be the best you can possibly be. It makes you limitless. Be the person you want to be. Don't let anyone's opinions of your interests and what makes you happy change what you're passionate about. You go out there and you work hard for what you want because you have a community that believes in you and what you can accomplish. So you go out there and you be you. You tell yourself, I can do this. I can really do this. And I'm not saying all of this to be cheesy, but I'm saying it because being positive about the year ahead of you is truly going to be your saving grace. It's that one thing that gets you through rough patches. It's that one thing that gets you through your late night of homework, or that test you stayed up all night studying for, or that bad grade you got, or even that rough patch you're having with your friends. You take all the stressful situations and you turn them into learning experiences. Yesterday, I read something from my AP Psych class that embodies this message. It said that you begin to see those hard times as a badge of effort and a source of useful information. It makes you find the need to dig deeper and try a different strategy to get your final goal. The need to understand that when learning is hard, you're doing important work, whether it is learning in school or learning in life. One of the effects of positivity that I personally get to have is whenever I am having a horrible day, I always text my dad and I'm like, Daddy, I'm having a really bad day. And no matter how hard of a day he's had at work, no matter how long, my dad gets up at like 4 a.m. in the morning. He works a long time. As soon as he sees me, he gives me the biggest smile and the biggest hug. And he says, what's up, kid? And he says, I love you and you can do this. And that little reinforcement means more to me than he'll probably ever know. Even Mr. Conahini, when he sees his daughter is a fantastic athlete. Kelly Conahini, you should watch her in volleyball. She's amazing. As soon as she goes up there to serve that ball or to hit it, you hear him going, yeah, Cal, get it, Cal. So it's not just the students. It comes from home base. That learning, that positive energy comes from home base. So we have you guys to thank. So I encourage all of you to stay motivated and smiling and positive and involved, not only for you, but for your friends and the people you care about, the people that you love, for your community. So with that, I'd like you to please join us in the ringing in the new school year as a community. After we ring the bells, please join us in the lobby to enjoy the dessert. Thank you. And now let us commence the ringing of the bells.